Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is John Henry Soto here with you as always. This is a live morning space for artists, filmmakers, musicians, and creators who are navigating the real world of making art. On this show, we talk about positivity, not the fluffy kind. We talk about what actually stops artists from moving forward, the struggles we all face, and how to move through them with clarity and purpose. We'll also highlight good things happening in the industry, share ideas, suggestions, and practical advice, and most importantly, have honest conversations. This is a live show, so if you're here, feel free to ask questions or join in. This is a place to reset, get grounded, and start the day moving forward as an artist. And welcome in, everybody. Hope you're all doing well out there. It is 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning, and it is February 11th, 2026. We're already 2 months in, a month and a half into 2026, if you can believe that. It's gone by very, very quickly. But we're all having fun. We had some ice storms here in Nashville, which was pretty wild. But everything's been thawed out. The ice is gone, and things are sort of getting back to normal. A lot of people were out of power for a very long time. I think everybody's recovered now, but man, that was wild. So I got a lot to cover today. Actually, I'm going to talk about what's called the EGOT. You guys ever heard of that? The EGOT, where people talk about that. So I'll tell you, those are, and I'll just read something real quickly. It says the EGOT is one of the rarest and most prestigious distinctions in entertainment, awarded to artists who have won all four major American awards: the Emmy for television, the Grammys for music, the Oscar for film, and the Tony for theater. The concept emerged in the late 1920s. I'm sorry, in the late 20th century as a kind of insider shorthand among industry professionals, but it earned mainstream pop culture in the 1980s when the actor Philip Michael Thomas popularized the term by declaring his goal to achieve it. Now, I don't know if that's true. This is some of the research I did. I do have to go a little bit more deeper to see if he's the one that actually coined the phrase, or not coined it because it was an insider thing, but if he's the first one that kind of brought it out in the 80s. I never really heard of this term until about, I guess, the 90s for me anyway. Um, and the only reason was because one of the winners I'm going to talk about today is a Boricua like me. So that's one of the reasons I was going to talk about that. But with all the entertainment that's going on, or I should say, focus on entertainment that's going on right now, always important to really know some of the insider things, so then you could make your decision on whether to mock it or or support it or whatever. Now, a lot of times, in the world of entertainment, there seems to be there's a little frustrating thing in the last, I would say, the last 15 years. I think because of social media became such a powerhouse and such a way into industries that it kind of lowered the what we thought of what a celebrity was. Celebrity used to be like this. We've never seen. We rarely see them. We see them on television. We see them on award shows. We see them being interviewed, and then we see them on the big screen or we see them on the stage, and that's pretty much it. And now today you can go to their account and you can see what they like to eat. You could see what they're doing in there, and it's sort of like took a little bit away from it. Some of the proof of that is also that a lot of A-listers are having trouble, um, basically leading their film, like actually being the force for their film. So they can be part of these big franchises, but when you put a big A-lister, and I'm not going to name who the A-listers are, but if you say there's some A-listers that have been put into their own films, and the films were good, but they didn't make any money, they tanked. And I'm talking about the biggest A-listers that you can imagine, um, just could not do it, for whatever reason. But if you put them into a franchise, Jurassic Park or a Marvel movie or something, they do really, really well. Because those franchises are what people are interested in, not necessarily the actors. So this has been part of the thing. So I thought I'll talk about this award, or this little coined phrase, this little word that's put together, acronym, of the four awards put together, and it's the EGOT, EGOT, right? So um, while the awards themselves date back to the mid 1900s, like the Oscars went back to 1929, the Tonys go back to 1947, the Emmys to 1949, and the Grammys 1959. So that was interesting because I remember having a conversation with somebody. They were like, "Well, Elvis never won any Grammys," and I was like, "Well, Elvis came in 54 and the Grammys haven't been around yet. And then he went into the army and this was a 59. And then when he came back, he's just made movies, right? And a lot of those movies are not necessarily going to be Oscar winners. um, and then the Grammys, the songs that were for them, I don't know if there was any nominations for any of these songs, but that was for films. So I don't know how they had it categorized back then. But Elvis Presley does have three Grammys, but they're all for gospel albums. So there you have that. So the idea of conquering all four mediums underscore a shift towards celebrating true cross-disciplinary mastery. And the youngest winner of the EGOT is Robert Lopez. Now he's not Latino; he's actually Filipino. He's a Filipino American. His last name, a lot of people think he's Latino because of his last name, Lopez. But you know what happened in the Philippines? The Spanish actually conquered or they colonized the Philippines for about 300 years. So there was a lot of Lopez names that actually integrated within the Philippines, as well as a few other names as well that are very Latino to us, you know. But he is the youngest. Not only is he the youngest EGOT winner, but he also has won it twice. He's won two for each. So he's the only person to have ever done that. He's a lyricist. He's a composer and lyricist best known for reshaping contemporary music theater and animation. Lopez became the youngest EGOT winner at age 39 and later went on to become the only person to achieve a double EGOT, meaning he's won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscars, and Tony twice each. No one is even close to that level across the boards of dominance. Um, Most of his work is created with his wife and creative partner, Christian Allen Anderson Lopez, and together they've been responsible for some of the most culturally unavoidable songs of the last decade. Their music has an unusual mix of Broadway craftsmanship and pop accessibility and emotional sincerity. Songs are that are clever and heartfelt, catchy, and narratively smart. A big part of Lopez's impact is how seamlessly he moves between worlds, Broadway television and blockbuster film. Few composers can write something that works for Tony winning stage and for a global animated movie audience and and make them both feel effortless. His success also helped legitimize the idea that musical theater writers could be major players in the mainstream Hollywood again. And a quiet flex was that he's also known for being very generous in collaboration and intentional about storytelling, not just chasing the hits. Um, yeah, so in an industry that offers rewards and flash, Lopez's legacy is about craft, consistency, and range, and the trophies just happen to follow. So that's Robert Lopez. That's the youngest. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, Interesting thing. Put this up here, and so let's go back a little bit to here. So historically, the EGOT winners represent artists whose work transcends formats, genre, blend storytelling, performance, and cultural impact across platforms. Now, let me just say something about award shows. Thank you for all the likes over here. I appreciate you very, very much. Love that. Wow. Um, so the award shows in the last, I would say, I don't know. What do you think? Maybe 20 years, let's say, or maybe 15 years. Definitely the last 10. But they've been very, very politicized. They've been very infused with um, opinions, harsh language. Um, and I don't watch them anymore because, and the numbers have really crashed. I think this year they did a little bit better, and the show was less. Um, Not really, actually. They were all the Grammys, and I mean they're all still just filled with a bunch of like cuckoo stuff. I used to love the Grammys when, like, back in the 80s and 90s when I was a kid. I used to love it because you would see your artists, the people that you have been following, all the music. I'm a musician. I love music. So I would go there, and it's the one time when I could see all these amazing musicians perform. I can't afford concert tickets. There was no, MTV was one place to see music videos, but it wasn't like the thing. It wasn't where you actually could see them interacting and stuff. So the Grammys for me were really big. I love the Oscars too. I love movies, um, you know, and seeing a movie star on television speaking was kind of a rare thing. You didn't get to see it. So I loved the Oscars. I never really watched the Tonys that much until much later in life, and the Emmys as well. I didn't watch the Emmys, even though I watched a lot of television. For some reason, the Emmys just never caught my attention as much. But I watched them because they were shows that represented artists that I really liked, and they were putting together a show to entertain me and to show their work and to give validation to others in the industry. Because later on I found out, oh, the best director, oh, the best screenplay, oh, the best lighting, best sound effects, but they all get, there's they all get recognition, right? And I think that that's part of what was the allure of these award shows. And today they've become sort of platforms for opinion, and they kind of lose, for me anyway, and not just for me, for millions of others, because the 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 audiences are just, I think they did a little bit better this year than last year. I'm trying to think. I'm not even sure if how they did. I know it wasn't great. Back in the day, we had obviously Michael Jackson, and we had Madonna, and we had Prince, and we had all these other major musical players that would come out. They wouldn't. They would just say, the world is a beautiful place. Let's love each other, or something like that. But it wouldn't be so, polarized politically in some way, the way it is now today. And the numbers show people, they just are not watching anymore. And I wanted to bring this because I want people to watch these shows, because I want the shows to just be about the actual art. I want the shows to be validating the actual artists that are doing really, really well and that are doing their thing. I want the show to be inspiring to younger individuals that are out there in the world, young singers and actors, and that are looking at this with admiration and with some, a dream that maybe someday they can be on that stage, and not be hit with like something that they now have to kind of like, that they also saw in the news or that they saw on their social media feed. It should be an escapism and a validation to the artists and to the art form itself. That's what these shows should be, right? So I want that to happen. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about the EGOT, just because it's a thing to kind of have a conversation around. But really, the reason for my show was because I want these award shows to kind of recover and go back to what it was, and I'm not saying, like Ricky Gervais, kind of like, he's famous for coming out and calling out all the actors, and calling out Hollywood, which, as we can see, that there's a problem out there right now. It's all, everything's hitting the fan and everybody's going under. But my point is that that's not Hollywood, right? That's just individuals that are doing really bad things, right? The actual art form itself is still going on at a very, very high level, with wonderful stories being told, and it's still a wonderful um, award awards that we can actually all embrace and give validation to. And a lot of some actors don't like the award shows. They think it's a popularity contest. It probably is. I don't know much of it. I know people that they do, they do lobby for their artists to get a nomination for a film, and they have their insider thing. And I'm sure there's this big insider thing because there was a big money grab. But the fact that their money is not there anymore and that the show is not there anymore. As a matter of fact, I think the Oscars are moving to YouTube. Is it the Oscars or the Grammys? I think it's the Oscars are moving to the um to YouTube in like 2030 or something like that. So in like 4 years, you'll watch the Oscars, but only on YouTube. Yikes! I mean, that's like showing defeat, basically. I did a show on that too, actually. Um, talking about that, it's basically just kind of showing defeat. Or I didn't do a show on it, but I talked about it. Maybe I should do something on that, on award shows and where are they going to be in the future. But we're talking about it now. And historically, EGOT winners represent artists whose work transcends format and genre, blending storytelling, performance, and cultural impact across platforms. Richard Rodgers became the first EGOT winner in 1962, followed by legendary figures like Helen Hayes, Marvin Hamlisch, and Whoopi Goldberg, each reflecting different pathways to the achievement. Over time, the EGOT has evolved from an industry curiosity into a cultural benchmark, symbolizing not just excellence, but adaptability in an era where entertainment increasingly blurs the lines between stage, screen, and sound. It remains a shorthand for creative immortality, proof that an artist didn't just succeed, but reshaped multiple corners of the art world. And this was now I'm going to talk a little bit about, with this whole thing going on with Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans, a lot of attention on Puerto Rico. There's a new church opening up in Puerto Rico for my church that's happening soon. Um, the Bad Bunny situation. So Puerto Rico, which by the way is part of America. I don't know if it's a territory of America. Puerto Ricans don't need passports. There's so much. There's so many dumb people, like that it boggles my mind. And I don't. All I'm gonna say is that Puerto Rico has been around, has been part of the United States since 1917. Okay, it's not a new thing. So we are American citizens. We are American citizens from Puerto Rico. We are American citizens, okay, from Puerto Rico. We don't need a passport to come and go. We are American citizens. So when you saw, the Super Bowl show was an American show. Yes, it was Spanish because this wonderful country of ours has one little island, okay, in the Caribbean that everyone speaks Spanish. The majority of the people speak Spanish. It's one island that's part of the United States of America that they speak Spanish. It is America. Okay. Now, yes, you're right. The majority of America doesn't speak Spanish. I get it, although a lot do. But okay, they don't speak Spanish, but they do. Again, I'm not defending the lyrics. Where some of the lyrics were atrocious. Some of it was positive. I don't know why can't you just stick to one thing and just be positive. I don't know why you have to put in the filth in it. I don't know. It's a choice that people make. I disagree with it. And a lot of non-speaking Spanish people are now not non-speaking English Americans. Non-Spanish speaking Americans are learning a lot of good curse words. So it's good. We're going to be able to curse each other out on the highways in Spanish, which I think brings us closer. But anyway, I wanted to talk about more Puerto Rican stuff, the good stuff. So another EGOT winner is a Puerto Rican, Rita Moreno. Rita Moreno is an EGOT winner. She won a Tony Award. I'm going to go down some of her credits here. She won a Tony Award um, in 1975 for the production of The Ritz. She was Best Featured Actress in a Play. She won her Tony for her hilarious scene-stealing performance as Googie Gomez, a sharp-tongued Puerto Rican singer navigating farce, chaos, and identity in a bathhouse comedy. It was a major stage comeback moment, and the show and showed her impeccable comedic timing. She's brilliant. I love her. She won an Emmy. She actually won two Emmys, both for her television. Emmys are television. For the Muppet Show, outstanding guest performer in a comedy or drama series. That was the category. And a production of The Rockford Files. The Rockford Files was a sort of a TV show. It was a TV show that had sort of crime things behind it. Rockford Files was, I'm trying to think of what it compares to, but back in those days, they were single people shows. It had one name of a person, whether it was Barnaby Jones, Frank Cannon, um, Beretta, and Hunter, and they had all these shows, and the Rockford Files was one of those shows, and they would solve crimes. So it was a crime show, right? So she won those two Emmys for that. An Academy Award for West Side Story, right? She was the only Latino, I think, in the actual West Side Story. I've spoken about this many times, and I won't go into it now. Um, but her performance as Anita is iconic, fiery, heartbreaking, and revolutionary for Latino representation in Hollywood at the time. She became the first Latino woman to win an Oscar, a historic milestone that still echoes today. And she won a Grammy for, do you remember the electric company? Hey, you guys. She won a Grammy, Best Recording for Children. And that was a TV show that I remember watching along with the Sesame Street. She was also in, Morgan Freeman was actually also in that, who's also an Academy Award winner. And those were that. Now, her EGOT matters because Rita Moreno didn't just win awards; she broke barriers across every medium: film, TV, theater, and music. And her music, her EGOT isn't about prestige alone; it's about longevity, range, and cultural impact. Man, it's so true because when you think about it, the guy who won. Now, I'm not okay. I'm not saying that this is not a what he did isn't awesome. I'm saying he did it in one one he wrote songs for all those different mediums, right? She had to create a character. She had to create separate characters. So there's four or five. She's got five Emmys or she's got two Emmys, right? And she's got the EGOT, and they're all five different characters because she's got two Emmys, right? Four awards, different awards, but two in one. And that to me is impressive too. You know, when you can win them as an actor for all four, you know, and you have to create a character for all four. You know, I mean that to me is pretty impressive. So that's Rita Moreno, very very cool. And you know, moving into oh boy, you know, moving into the future of what entertainment is going to be, it's moving at such a fast pace. You really have to get, you know, if you're an actor, a new actor, or just graduating from school in some art form in entertainment, your best bet is to spend the next 2 to 3 years networking, going to every event that you can imagine, reaching out to people on platforms like LinkedIn and platforms that are actual that have more serious people that actually work in the business. Um, Put out your content, create work, document yourself doing the work, and then start engaging and networking and networking and networking, because it's changing at such a fast pace that there are people up there that are aware of the changes because they're in the game and they're the ones making the changes. I'm talking about technology and with AI and different uh, uh, organizational shifts that are happening within major brands. Brands are bringing in film crews now, and brands are having their own, like Nabisco has their own film studio. Kellogg's is going to have their own little film production company to shoot their own commercials and social media and verticals and all the different types of content that you can put out instead of hiring outside entities, outside marketing. So this is going to become a challenge for these marketing companies, right? That's why you don't see a lot of marketing positions on, even if you go to LinkedIn. The marketing positions are like almost, some of them you read the descriptions for what they want, the job description, and you think this is like 1995 job description. This isn't a new thing. If you're in marketing today, you got to know about AI. You got to know about social media. You got to know about Meta and how they actually operate. You got to know about these things because that's what marketing is today. You're not going to go there and be like, well, let's find a newspaper. What are the local publications here? And start doing things an ad, or just spend a gazillion dollars on a television ad when legacy media has really been tanking for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, last year was the first time that YouTube outranked regular television in viewership, and this year it's going to do the same thing. It's going to be more. So you have to have the idea. You have to be at the forefront of what those changes are. And how do you do that is by networking with people. Try to meet with people every week. I try to meet new people, and I meet a ton of people online, and I have conversations with them, and I do Zoom calls with them, and they're in the industry, and I'm learning something always from every conversation. I'm learning something, and it's always good to bring to the table something that you can actually drop, some bit of wisdom or something that you can help them with, because that's what the industry is right now. So for, who's going to win an EGOT in the future, man, that's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be really hard because the industry is so dispersed in so many different ways that, you may not even hear of someone that had an amazing performance on a TV show on a network that you didn't even know existed, because it's not nominated. It doesn't qualify for to be nominated. And then the award shows themselves are not being viewed. Nobody's watching them. So all these organizations are going to come up with their own awards, and they're going to give these awards, right? Like a YouTube award, best actor, YouTube, and YouTube will have their own award ceremony, right? Um, Netflix will have, maybe they'll have their own award ceremony. I'm sure they have something already, in place. But all these entities that are out there are gonna start just creating their own thing. Why? Because the top 4 award shows have become so political and one-sided or two-sided or whatever the sides are, which doesn't even matter at this point. We're just talking about the art form. When they go back to the art form, that's when it's going to be a beautiful, positive thing, and it's going to inspire people to want to go there again. And that's the key thing. We just want people to experience art, and we want people to be inspired. We want people to inspire others. That's the important thing. All right. But thank you all for tuning in. As always, I appreciate y'all very much. It's always a pleasure when I come on here in the mornings. This morning I woke up, I was very, very, very tired. I almost, I didn't really have a late night, actually. I went to bed early, so I don't know why I was tired. Maybe I ate something that kind of didn't, I don't know, made me tired. But I'm here, happy to be here. I'll be here tomorrow morning, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Central. And of course, please join us on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central, where we're going to be, we have a wonderful guest, Oba Babatunde, the award-winning actor, is going to be on our show again. He's been on our show now. This will be his third time on our show. And when he comes on, it is just a beautiful experience. I love him. He's a very inspiring guy, very loving guy, incredibly talented, and very giving of his time. So we're excited for him to be on. That's on Sunday night, so please join us for that. All right, friends, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. God bless you all. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. We got. Let's take care of each other. All right, love you all. Bye-bye. And as always,